President Trump and Elon Musk. It is all anyone wants to talk about. Why? Because the media is desperate for a negative story on President Trump, as usual, and his administration. The fact is, I don't think there's any story here. I'm sure Elon Musk and President Trump will continue being good friends and allies in the fight to save our amazing country. I'm excited for the media to move on from this story, but in the meantime, I got to talk about it tonight on NewsNation, why I think the media is responding the way that they are, why I think they're desperately hunting for a negative story, as usual, and what I think we're going to hear in the press conference that Elon Musk and President Trump hold together. So listen to the clip, let me know what you think, and remember, what you read in the headlines is not usually our reality.
Hey, Elizabeth, when Elon Musk was complaining about this on CBS, suddenly he became this hero of the New York Times, the Washington Post, both wrote glowing stories about him. CBS did the CBS Sunday Morning, sort of this very puff piece on him. I don't say they called him a hero, but it came close. Way different treatment than when he was in these press conferences with Donald Trump for the first 100 days of DOGE. Which treatment is he going to get tomorrow?
Well, I think that depends on what he says tomorrow, right? This says a lot more about our media, I think, than it does about this administration or about Elon Musk. The fact is, most in our media are ready to jump on any story that criticizes Donald Trump or even implies any kind of criticism of President Trump and this administration. So the fact is, we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure people, like you said, are going to be tuning in. It's must watch, TV. But the fact is, it's people being very, very curious about what is going to be said and if this friendship between Elon Musk and Donald Trump is going to continue on even after he leaves the White House and this administration.
Yeah, so the big headline from the CBS thing was Elon criticizing Trump's big, beautiful bill. And this was somehow seen as this split, the breakup of the bromance. CBS has just released one new clip of Elon. Take a listen.
I mean, I agree with much of what the administration does, but we have differences of opinion. You know, the things that I don't entirely agree with. But it's difficult for me to bring that up in an interview because then it creates a bone of contention.
Do we have any idea, Phil, sort of behind the scenes, how this came together? Did this catch the White House off guard? How all of a sudden was Elon brought back? Is Elon been, I'm going to say threatened, but is tomorrow like a hostage video of Elon having to repair his relationship?
Certainly, I think we're going to get the answer to that tomorrow because there is a friendship between these two men. But the question is, will Elon Musk open up his checkbook for Republicans? He's indicated that he's not eager to spend as much money for the upcoming campaign. And more than that, there's a question of the taxpayer checkbook. Let's not forget that a lot of Elon Musk's business enterprise, not in a nefarious way, but this sort of thing happens when you are a defense contractor, is overlapped with spending across the agency. So both men very much have something to gain here. And we'll see just how awkward it is. Yeah, the spirit of the DOGE experiment, I don't think that Congress has lived up to that in this one big, beautiful bill. And it'll be up to the administration with these rescissions packages that they're promising to maybe lower the deficit that way.
Well, and perhaps there was a subtle reminder to Elon Musk that Elon Musk has a lot more to lose than Donald Trump does, which you got a sense that perhaps Donald Trump was a little bit annoyed that Elon thought he was somehow irreplaceable or indispensable.
Yeah, the distinction that you made between the world's richest man and the world's most powerful, that gets grayed sometimes. And Elon Musk might have forgotten that lesson, but the rest of us did not.
Yeah. Elizabeth, in some sense, I understand the criticism of DOGE that it did not deliver $2 trillion. It didn't deliver $1 trillion. They claim they found $170 billion. Whether or not they actually ended all of that, we don't know. And a lot of it hasn't been codified in Congress. Are people being fair to Elon in their criticizing, considering that he actually got people to even talk seriously about government waste?
No, and I think you know exactly what my answer is going to be now, and I assume you agree, much like we're talking about the New York Times and CBS. I think people attacked Elon because he was working for President Trump. And I think if any kind of concept like DOGE were to be launched under a Democrat's administration, if this was Kamala Harris and she had won and Elon was working for her, I think people would have been very excited, because the fact is, whether it was 170 billion or not, whether it was 1 billion, it's still a gift to the American people. It still sets a very important precedent for the future, not just of this administration, the next 4 years, but the next couple of decades. This is what the American people know is possible, whether they voted for the administration that's in power or not. So no, I don't think the criticism is very fair. And like you said, the criticism will change based on what Elon says tomorrow and based on what he continues to do over the next few years.
Well, we know, actually, we don't have to wonder if a Democrat launched such a program, because Bill Clinton did, and everybody loved it. I think the Obama administration did as well, and put Joe Biden in charge of it. Consumer confidence rising despite the tit-for-tat tariffs. Consumer confidence rose 12.3 points this month, reading of 98. You can go on and what this means, blah, 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 blah. But effectively, Phil, people are feeling better about the economy. You're in the White House every day. Your sources, are they feeling more confident, perhaps a little more aggressive? They have their swagger back than, say, 6 weeks ago, playing defense on the tariffs every day?
Yeah, they're confident when it comes to consumer sentiment, but it's not just that metric. They're also looking at President Trump's approval rating from Liberation Day. If you look at the Real Clear Politics average, shameless plug, from April 2nd until now, Donald Trump has rebounded in his approval ratings. I think he was at a -7% at one point. Now it's about within the margin of error. I think that's the result of some of these trade deals with the United Kingdom, with China, that he's been able to achieve, but also with the pause. We haven't yet felt the downstream effects of Liberation Day. And now with his tariff authority up in the air, it's an open question that is going to be litigated in the courts.
Elizabeth, real quick on this. You think about the news cycle starting this week, where President Trump was basically silent, save saying he was going to be harsh on Vladimir Putin. You had two stories about the Democrats, neither of which were good, especially the one about Joe Biden. Now you call a Friday news conference at 1:30 with Elon Musk. You want to own the weekend. What exactly does the point President Trump wants to make tomorrow, other than perhaps letting Elon know that you don't get to go out and trash me in the New York Times and the Washington Post?
Well, look, I think it's about, like you said, owning the week, owning the narrative and the news cycle, and making people very much aware that Donald Trump is still very much in charge. People are talking about these tariffs. They're talking about Elon. They're trying to kind of spin a narrative, as they always do. We saw it all day. We saw it anytime the tariffs come up. People want to spin back that narrative that Donald Trump is some kind of an authoritarian dictator and the courts are standing up to him, when in reality it's the opposite. Our system is working as it does. Appeals courts today, like you know, reinstated the tariffs. Everything is continuing to move. Donald Trump's going to continue to fight because he believes in these tariffs. He's talked about them since, like you said, before you or I were born. And it's about making sure people understand that he's continuing the fight, and what they read in the New York Times might not be exactly what's going on in the Oval Office.
You were born far more recently than I was.
I didn't want to say it.
But there we go. It's okay. I understand. Philip, Elizabeth, good to see both of you. Live coverage tomorrow, 1:30 for the Oval Office press conference, and we will see if Elon Musk has his great Make America Great Again hat